Time now for our Rants and Raves of the Week, starting with Marjorie.
Well, this is a rant against the Associated Press, which I'm normally a huge fan of, but they fired this photographer who won a Pulitzer Prize for them just a year ago in Syria, and covering the war, which is no easy feat. You can see, we're going to show the picture of the photograph that he changed. It was a picture in Syria of a soldier. You can see him with a gun. On the left-hand side, you can see there's a little video camera in there, and on the right-hand side, there's no video camera. He took it out and sold it to the AP that way. He's a freelancer. And they went bananas and said, he doctored the photograph, you're fired. You have a great expression, Emily, about people being run out of town on a rail. This is a guy that is being run out of town on a rail. Okay, he shouldn't have done that. I understand that. But it was one mistake, and he's fired, and he's covering a war. And also, the idea that he knew they wouldn't like it because it showed a picture of another camera, which would maybe think, someone else was covering it, or maybe it was staged. And the other thing is, I'm embarrassed to say, until researching this story, I did not realize that some of the most famous photographs of recent memory, like the napalm photograph of the little girl running in Vietnam, the naked little girl, there was a soldier cropped out of that because it took away from the picture. So it's okay if you crop something out, but it's not okay if you remove something. I hope this guy goes and works for
total overkill.
Yeah, go work for somebody else and win a Pulitzer Prize there and say that to the Associated Press.
I'd like to think I'm a hardliner on this stuff. This was overkill.
Yeah.
It was too much.
I don't get it.
All right, Callie, what do you got?
I have a rave for something called EveryBlock, and it was a hyper-local website that started in Chicago by a guy named Adrian Holavati. He won a night challenge grant to put this thing together, and it was just about what was happening literally in every block of Chicago. Great stuff, bad stuff, whatever. Very popular. Got the eye of some of the big folks, so got bought up by NBC. They said, oh, no, we're not changing anything. It's great. That's what we're going to do. Then they shut the website down 6 years ago. Well, Comcast now owns NBC, and they're bringing it back. They're going to start in Chicago. It might move to other cities. And they've moved it out of the news division, so they can do whatever they want. I know this goes against the grain of patch sites shutting down, AOL patch sites, and other hyperlocal interests, but I'm a big believer in hyperlocal news, and this to me says that if a big corporation wants to invest in it, I think it has a shot.
Yeah. Hope you're right.
Yeah, me too.
Because I don't really get it, but I'll go fool with it and see how it works.
Okay.
All right, Roy.
A rave for the New York Times for making a reportorial change that I think is a surprise to a lot of people. Very familiar to Boston Globe readers is Michael Paulsen, who for a long time was the religion reporter for the Boston Globe, was deeply involved in the church stories that won the Pulitzer in 2003. He had been almost invisible at the New York Times, at least to us, as a metropolitan editor. And 2 weeks ago, he became the national religion reporter for the New York Times. So we're going to be seeing a lot more, and have been seeing a lot more, of his byline and coverage. And it's a good time for him to be writing about the Catholic Church with all the changes that are going on there.
Maybe getting rid of some of those, big people makes room now to bring some of the other folks that have not had a chance to come forward.
All those Nate Silvers and all those.
Pogues and whatever, everybody.
Exactly. Okay, Dan, what do you got?
I have a rant for the New York Times Magazine, which put together the most bizarre cover of Hillary Clinton that's coming this Sunday. I believe we're going to have a look at it here. She is her face is grafted onto a planet, and you have this Planet Hillary concept. I don't get it. It just strikes me as somehow vaguely insulting.
Vaguely?
Well, I will say it's better than what Time Magazine did a week ago, where they had the spiked heel of Hillary crushing some miniature guy in a business suit. But, is this what we're going to have with Hillary Clinton for the next 3 years? God, I hope not.
This is I thought this was over from 2008. This is just disgusting. How many times do we have to say it? This is stupid. I know. Stop it.
She gets so picked on. Even by MSNBC. Remember Chris Matthews with the tank?
Well, Time Magazine was disgusting. This was just kind of bizarre.
Well, that's disgusting in the bizarreness because it's so blatantly sexist, and people sit in a room with their little selves that all agree, and they don't see it.
I am going to blow all your minds.
What?
Because I have a rave.
For what?
About that?
The New York Times Magazine.
No.
Yes.
No.
Coming out,
Like it?
absolutely. And I'll tell you what, this is fascinating. The New York Times, which is, talk about non-transparent, like the Department of Children and Family Services, they don't tell you anything. New York Times Magazine, New York Times doesn't tell you anything. They did a graphic depiction of how this thing came about, which is absolutely fascinating. Graphic illustrator named Lenz. And he proposed this, and he sketched something out. Planet Hillary, you know, the center of the universe. And then then they had, this, which didn't really work. There she is. But then they kept changing it. And then it got more and more bizarre. And then the planet, somebody said, well, the next one looks like she had too much hair. This one looked like it was too forced. And then they had this idea of adding the galaxy. And they put this, and then they add the galaxy behind it. But the idea was really to show how significant she is in the world, in the galaxy. And that was, I'm just telling you, I'm raving for the fact that they were transparent on how the graphic illustrator come to that final, and they passed off on all these different versions of them and then settled on that one.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions. That's all I have to say.
I like it.
You'd think that at some point somebody would have said, what? We're not
Sure,
doing
it's a
this."
flattering story.
Yeah,
all right,
right.
well, you've heard our takes. Now tell us what you think. When is someone's gender identity relevant to a story, or how about that magazine cover? Weigh in on our website, beatthepress.org. We also invite you to share your memories of Chet Curtis, and you can catch up on past episodes or watch any of this show you may have missed. I'm Emily Rooney. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching Beat the Press. Stay with WGBH News wherever you go, on TV, on radio, online, on mobile. WGBH News, local depth, local perspective.